We've all woke up with the fear, but Chris Sutton has woke up with the fear that Celtic are going to get scudded in the Champions League. Welcome back to Fog Football. Before we get into Chris Sutton's comments regarding the lack of transfers or the lack of good transfers in his eyes, Jota is confirmed to be out until 2026, so that winger position is looking rather weak for Celtic right here, right now. But let's hear what Sutton had to say in his daily record column. And I quote, "A few haven't quite made the same impact, of course, but there's not the same concerns about adapting to the game as some people might have had previously. Inamura was the latest export, and after it sounded like he was going to be farmed out on loan, Brendan Rodgers seemed pleasantly surprised by his display in Cork, and he might have more of a look. Is he going to be a long term backup for Tierney? I doubt it. He's still very much one for the future, as you wouldn't have to want to chuck him in for the final 20 minutes of a Champions League qualifier. And as for the latest striker target, is Shin Yamada going to be the long awaited replacement for Kyogo? We'll have to wait and see about that too. At 1.5 million, Yamada isn't going to break the bank, and he might turn out to be another smash hit. No one expected Maeda to become the superstar he is now when he arrived for a similar fee a few years ago. I would hold fire on making comparisons between Yamada and Kyogo, though. Kyogo had a stronger track record in the J League for a start. Yamada was prolific in 2024 when he scored more than 20 goals for the season, but he's only managed a couple in 2025. Likewise, in 2023, his goal return wasn't too much to shout about. On paper and in clips, he does look like a similar type of player to Kyogo. He likes to play not only on the shoulder, but ghost into space, and his best work comes in the penalty area. Like Kyogo, he can drift out of games when he waits for his opportunities. He could be a useful addition for Celtic. He has some pedigree with one cap for his country, and winning a single cap is always the sign of a top player. End of quote. Like that for Sutton. He's having a wee dig at himself there, isn't he? Isn't he, Chris Sutton? But yeah, he's worried about the options on the wings and also up front, which he alludes to here. He says, but will he be ready to be the main striker? It's debatable. There's also Callum Osmond and Johnny Kenny there, and while those two might be seen as decent prospects, they are not ready to go into the games that matter the most, like the Champions League qualifier. I'm still waiting for the club to do really serious business in this transfer window, and they're going to need to put a shift on. As it stands, Celtic are weaker than they were at the end of last season. That's just a fact. They've brought in Kieran Tierney and Nygren for the first team, but Kuhn and Greg Taylor are big losses. You can chuck Jota into that as well. End of quote. Yeah, I think it's undeniable that Celtic are weaker than last season. Now, Tierney is an upgrade on Taylor. I'm not going to sit here and dispute that, but Kuhn is obviously a massive upgrade on Nygren. The problem is with Tierney is how fit's he going to be? Of course, he's not grading Greg Taylor, but Greg Taylor could give you every game, essentially. Tierney has obviously took massive pay cuts. He's on way less money. He's made financial sacrifices. That's what he's done. But let's see what's going to happen. His body's obviously sacrificed a lot over the years. And how many games is Kieran Tierney truly going to play for Celtic in this season? I wouldn't be surprised if it's under 25, to be honest. But yeah, for his sake, he'll be hoping absolutely not. He goes on to say it might be a tough one to swallow, but he's not likely to be anywhere near back to his best until the start of the following season. He wasn't quite up to speed when he picked up the ACL, and he'll need a good few months at the tail end of the coming term. If he makes any kind of impact over the running, it will be nothing more than a bonus. In the meantime, it leaves Celtic looking well short. Everyone knows what is required. The bare minimum is another left back, two new wingers, and another proven striker. There is obviously money in the bank, but so far a lot of the signings have been cheaper deals with an eye on the future. It's time for the here and now. The league is kicking off and it's fast approaching, and the Champions League qualifier is not far behind. Celtic cannot afford to gamble with that one. There may be a temptation to wait and see if they're in the group stage before going big in the market. I would see that as an even bigger gamble. Celtic need the big signing in place before the qualifier, not after. We've seen that strategy backfire in the past, and failing to get to the main competition doesn't bear thinking about. There's no need to be giving Rangers any encouragement on the domestic front either. Russell Martins has started a major rebuild with several new players coming in. It's going to take them time though, and Celtic need to capitalise. You have to only go back 12 months to see the importance of these pre-season games. There's a bounce game behind closed doors on Saturday, and that will give some of the players of the big names returning some minutes on the pitch. But Rodgers will want to see a real step up against Sporting Lisbon on Wednesday, and then Newcastle United at the weekend. Last summer, the matches against City and Chelsea really set the tone for the start of that season. Listen, they are friendly games and you can lose a lot of them and still have a strong campaign. I get that. But then there's the flip side, and the confidence Celtic gained by their performances against English Premier League teams was evident for all to see. End of quote. Yo, he's absolutely right. It's Sutton. Because last season, man, Celtic looked really, really, really good against Chelsea and Man City. And if they get scored 5-0 on them, that's going to obviously dent your confidence. But as he goes on about the Champions League qualifier, you can't just wait until the mighty if you get through, then you'll spend money. Because, like he's pointed out, they're weaker than last season. And yeah, it's not like the league path. No, not the league path, the Champions path. Celtic are obviously one of the best teams in that. But when it's came to knockout football, yeah, and it's not exactly the latter stages of European competitions, I totally understand. But when it comes to this two-legged affairs, man, Celtic in Europe doesn't really go well for a long, long time. So it'll be interesting to see come the end of August what Celtic would have done. And Sutton ends with they started the season with a bang. You could argue the 16 wins in the first 18 games pretty much won them the league. Getting off to a flying start will really pile the pressure onto the other side of the city and will set Celtic up for this Champions League qualifier. It's time for Celtic to show they mean business on and off the pitch because Champions League gives me the fear. Sutton has got the fear. What have you guys got? Have you got fear expectations? Or are you happy that Sutton's feeling the fear? We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, interesting couple of months ahead. As I pointed out, and my prediction is no team in Scotland will start or end up in the competition in Europe that they started in. So Dundee United, you're out of here. They're not going to be in European football. Theoretically, all four other clubs could still be in Europe. That's what I say that like there's a chance no team from Scotland's going to be playing in Europe. Of course, that's not the case. Teams are guaranteed, but yeah, I expect Rangers and Celtic both to be playing Europa League. Aberdeen will be playing Conference League. As for Hibs, obviously they're not guaranteed hee-haw, but I do believe Hibs are going to sneak it into the Conference League. I've got faith in them, and the more teams in the Coefficient Cup, the better. Anyway, leave it there. Down below, preview shows later on tonight. Cup, European, we'll be firing them all out on all cylinders. Till next time, peace.